Good morning. This is Ken Long from Tortoise Capital with a daily debriefing from May 12th, 2016. Just some reminders here that when we're out fishing, there's other market participants that are out there fishing, and we'd be well advised to remember that. We had a second day of the market given back after 3 days of success after finding support at the bottom of the 30-day and the 10-day regression channels. Bottom of the river found support. We've had 2 days of sell-off and little evidence of follow-through across the board, so more of this rolling over action. If we get another day of that, watch for another test down here to 204 and probably to 203, and that would confirm this notion of the channeling between 211 and say and 200. So far, the 200-day moving average looks solid as support, and we're just getting tactical sideways trading here. So keep a short time horizon. Keep your risk measured. This was from Teddy, a case study. He was wondering, it was marking up his understanding of the owl here, and he was wondering about this trade frame in here. And so the standard approach to this is the unambiguous move. RLCO outside the river, the 10 crosses the dragon. Dragon is rolled over, the 30 is rolled over. This is the short signal in the owl's pocket. Doesn't follow through. Crosses back above the dragon, and dragon starts to roll up. This is where you cover. This is a scratch or a fractional loss in here, and now we have a continuation trade here because we have a dragon hump, a sell, and then resumption. So this is that pocket trade continuing the long side. River is still flowing up. Perfect pocket entry, and cashing here as the 10 and the 30 roll over. Teddy's question on this one. These are Nikkei futures. These last two trades was where is the proper entry short on a Z3 pinch breakout. And so we checked the this yellow here is the Z3 pinch. That's about 0.35 of the frog box, and so that is a pinch. And so we'd be short here, and that would get us as this price support level is collapsing. That's just the fact that this is a Z3 pinch breakout is reason to short. But when you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tests of that, and then the eighth one breaks, you're not surprised when that kind of follow through occurs. This is Sunal nailing a owl entry. Frog box off the bottom in the pocket. All the owl properties are there. Beautiful exit at the RL270 and hesitation. No, I'm sorry, that's an entry. Nice job holding, and then as this is closing that gap, this is not a bad place to get out at the 2R. So this looks like 1, 2, almost 3R out of this one. Well done. This is Eric's owl on the DAX, part of the Team Euro. Here's this is an owl entry long. He exits here. Maybe this is a little slow. Maybe higher up in that candle as price breaks through the dragon to the downside. When this little belly of the dragon here gets violated, that's your signal. So we can tighten that up a little bit, but I like the quickness on the trigger. This is a stop and reverse short. So he's covering this long, gets short in here exits here. Again, I think when this reverses, and now you've got an owl set up right in here, this should be no worse than a scratch. We could just tighten that up a little bit. So out of the minus 0.7, maybe there's 0.3 and a 0.2 improvement in here. There's probably half an hour of improvements on timing. That would make it easier psychologically to take this owl entry right here, but we do get it does get the owl entry a little bit later here at the peak of that, but is able to hold through this. Well done. And this is a pretty good exit on the top side for plus 0.5. So I think there's some room for timing improvements inside here. So now practicing her framing on the owl entry, pocket resumption, another pocket entry, and working and building confidence in her in the PSAR and the southern skin of the dragon stops. Z3 pinch breakout short, cover, well done out here at the C3, catching it as it's hesitating and then starting to roll over. You'd expect this in a little bit to turn into an owl. That would be the stop, or the stalking. And then if it doesn't follow through and develop the owl pattern, then what you're going to have is a P1F and then a continuation of the trade down. Nicely played. That's an R at the Z3 trade. Nice. Yolanda with Hybrid Frog. Yolanda, what I want you to do is when you're short on the initial one, this should be red then green. So we're Hybrid Frog short, covered for a scratch. Short pocket continuation. So this is this failed to follow through. So this is a continuation short. So this should be red. Maybe a little slow on this one, on that, but really that one big bar is pretty a pretty quick move. I like that you're out of here at not worse. That's minus 0.3. We can live with that kind of execution. If we can get this a little earlier, then the owl entry that develops right in here is easier to take, and awesome, knocked it out of the park. Very good timing to get that exit on this side of the dragon, and you can see what an extreme move this is, because now the dragon has swum from one side of the where he's out of the river, swum to the other side of the river, and now completely came out. So you know that this was a really extreme move. 1.6 on this one for net, a 1.3. Well done. This would be a pocket entry, because this is where it should fail, but it didn't fail, and so it resumes. So in here, failure to fail, that's our next pocket entry. This is me and the VIX. So 1, 2, let's see, 3, and then the river or the dragon turns up, the 30 turns up. That's my owl entry here. This is also this dragon rising. So you got lower hump, lower belly, a high, a higher low, and it's turned up. So not later than this line on its own merits. That's a dragon rising. So that's a nice owl. Here is a stop, my execution stop below the PSAR and the swing low. This would be the Z2 stop for position sizing. And so this trade becomes this one, about a 0.5R, getting it on this side of the hump. As this gets to the 270, can't break through, 1, 2, 3, exit. And now I'm prepared, as this is coming down, that a move back through this line above the hump of the dragon is my auto long. That's what we get. There's my stop down here below the VWAP, tracking up to the PSAR pretty close at this point. As it's starting to roll over, I've got my stop already in place from here, and I'm end up taking that stop, and then if it breaks above and I just keep reframing. I was committed to that technique today. So at the moment of taking this one, and it finds support of the Bollinger Band mean, this is my not later than entry. This would be, now at this point, as I'm stalking this sideways, now that the dragon is rolled over, the 30 is about to roll over, this would actually be an owl short. I'm not taking shorts in here because the 30 is sloping up, so that would be premature. That's why this is just a stop. And now that it gets sideways and the 30 has started to roll over, that would become an owl entry short, and then this would be a continuation long. So price right now is in that yellow zone, and I end up taking it with the stop down here at the bottom of that yellow zone, and it gives me 3 or 4 bars of gain. So I said I don't want to lose any of that, so just get to no lose. And dinner for 2. This was from Sanal's markup. I also wanted to show her while she's working the pockets that it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, and now it's the dragon rising in here. So any entry in there is fine. This would be one possible stop. That's another one below the hump of the belly of the dragon or the RL10. Also the Z2. So meanwhile, back at the ranch, we had that trade frame. It breaks out again above that yellow zone, so I'm long, and I had locked in the no lose plus dinner for 2, but I got a 1, 2, 3. Take it at the near side of the dragon. Instantly, as this thing is coming down, I've got my frame. If it breaks above the hump of the dragon, again, I'm long. If it breaks down below here, I've now got an owl short entry framed. It ended up being a scratch. This was such a tactical grind right through here. I didn't have the will to take this next one, and I decided to just decompress and wait for the next owl. Get the owl short, cover in the usual way. So there was time, pattern, and money, but just not the will. So just stand aside. Quick break. This was from the chat room. A VIX. This was a long stop and reverse, and a second short in cat. This is at 1, 2, 3, and then a collapsing dragon. That's where you got to get short right there. Well done. This one was a hybrid frog long cover. This one was a hybrid frog short and massive gains. Well done. So meanwhile, back to this VIX series, the owl short covered, and then this one became an owl long. And at this point, my stop start was the Z2 up to the PSAR, lock it in. So now it's just how much is the market going to give me, because I've preserved my seed capital right there. So we end up taking that shortly thereafter. So I want to look at that, see what that looks like. So on this one, I don't want to give that back, because if it fails here, then it means it actually is failing at a lower level than the previous excursion. So this is actually the market potentially rolling over. So I want to, if it's rolling over, I want to gain here while I can. So we did. I can't get short in here because the 30 hasn't completely rolled over yet. And I'm still thinking this is the long trend in the VIX here. So I wait, get another owl, and the owl entry, because you get the 30 has rolled up, the dragon has rolled up, RLCO outside the river, it's cross, I'm long. My first target's going to be this hump. Second potential target is that hump. And I'm just being stubborn about framing and reframing and taking these and grinding it out. This is rough road through here. 20 miles of bad road. Keep grinding. This one doesn't quite get to my target but starts to roll over. Take that one here, just like I take it here. Those are both 0.5 wins. That's, adding to, that's making bank. Bob chipped in this one here on XME, one of our faves, on 1 minute. And so I just want to show you you get the owl short in here. This a hump, belly, lower hump and rolling over. This is the collapsing dragon. Bang! This would get you out. This would get you back in, especially when that takes out even the PSAR. So you get this one, and now you have an owl. Long, failed to fail. If this got you out, this would get you back in, and now you have an owl coming this way too. So very nice, orderly trades. Intraday and XME. All right, so this was the last trade frame in VX in the VXX and XIV series. So the owl on this one gets short, fails, cover, stop and reverse on any owl pattern, and that's the one that works. So the point of this previous discussion, going through the grind, they all look the same leaving the station. And so if you just know that that's what it's like, you can't just play the ones you think are going to win, because they all look the same leaving the station. When you open an oyster looking for pearls, they all look the same. Can't tell from the outside. Don't know which train's going to be the express train or which one's just a local. So just keep playing it by the numbers, preserving capital, minimizing risk, taking the signals, crosses the VWAP, take it long, pow. Take a second one when it clears yesterday's close, that's that blue line. Take it, get a third one on failure to fail, and then cash because I just 3 positions on was too much, and it's getting later in the day. Now, the stop management on this one. So on that long, I'm using the Z2. At this point, when it's moving up and the Bollinger Bands get wider, I abandon the Z2 and I trade up. I think of this as trading up to the Z1 line and then also that RL270 or parallel. So that seems like a natural way to go. I stay with the 270. Now the Z3 line has come back around, and as this is going sideways and failing to go further, I'm accelerating my trailing stop. Now all the way through here, I got my finger on a trigger ready to strike and just lock it in. And so I let the trailing stop continue to tighten up. Here I go from the Z3 up to the PSAR and the southern skin of the dragon, then I just get out on all 3. Big win. Trade of the day. This is in win, and what I want to show is the connection to yesterday's sketch about the fat tails of the river being the place where the trades are available. So this is SQC. This is Crocodile River in the middle. Here's an unambiguous move. In this case, to the downside, that'd be a Z3 pinch breakdown. Notice there's nothing in the river. Price, the 10 and the 30 all got out of the river. That's the definition of trending behavior. This move to the downside, it's almost like it goes downhill to accelerate so it can run up the hill. This move out of the river and creating a trend is what creates the conditions for the reversion to the mean trade, which then becomes the real trend of the day. And so if that's one chunk down, this is 1, 2 legs up, and you get an owl in here and you have this, and now you have a low, a high, a higher low, and takes off. You got to get long again in here. And naturally this is going to be an owl and a continuation pocket entry. You get this one, and now we're back into Crocodile River. It's that time of the day, and just recognize Crocodile River in here, Crocodile River in here. The breakout is what creates the favorable conditions for trending. Then the reaction to that is an overreaction and then some momentum, And then when the new fair price has been discovered, look at all this volume. That's the new fair price. That's where you get chewed up in Crocodile River. Not much money to be made in there, but you can sure give back a lot. Nice work from Ashay here with an owl pattern. The unambiguous move. He's long. If he's not long here, then you got to get long in here. If this was enough to get you out, then this is enough to get you back in. So you have swing low, swing high, higher low, takes out the previous hump of the dragon. You have to get long again in here. I would think about this one myself as a second entry. And then I don't mind that exit. That's reasonable. And just on the single position, that's 2.9. I think with another entry in here, this gets up around probably nets 4R, I would say, is my guess. Okay, and that's everything I wanted to cover today. Just want to leave you with the thought that while we're out there enjoying the targets and the successes of our trades, that in our enthusiasm for the successes, just remember that there's other folks fishing who have something to say. So he's getting ready to deliver an important message here. And keep remembering that in the middle of the uncertainty, as you're framing those trades and doing the right thing, remember it takes an act of will to take that shot. And when you go for it, go for it. You know, take your swings, take your shots. You've done your preparation. You know you're protected against disaster because of your risk management. And when it's time to go, you go for it. So, it's Ken Long from Tortoise Capital. Keep your risk measured and your powder dry.